the way you talk to yourself matters. And if you're telling yourself you're a piece of garbage every single day, then you're going to make choices that reflect that because that's how you feel about yourself. So I know you've struggled with this yourself in recent years. What have been some of your best practices to know what you're saying to yourself and how it's impacting you, and then breaking those negative thought loops to be able to change it and start talking to yourself in a more compassionate way?
So let's break this down for everybody, because what you just said is how you talk to yourself matters. And that is so true, right? And so there are a couple elements to getting control over your negative self-talk, breaking it apart, and replacing it with a new way of speaking to yourself. And so the first step is self-awareness, because I am willing to bet my mortgage on the fact that you have no idea just how negative and relentless and horrible your self-talk is. You're so used to it, you've tuned it out. So the first step in changing from trashing yourself and bashing yourself to learning how to have your default become positive is to become aware of just how nasty, disgusting, and fucking awful your default way of talking to yourself is. And that's the hardest part. So that's the bad news. Here's the good news. You can change this. Like, yeah, it's not going to happen overnight, but through repetition, in less than 66 days, you can change how you feel about everything by changing how you speak to yourself. And, that's not just some dumb platitude that Doug and I have pulled out of thin air. When researchers study every single skill and every single behavior change that you could take on in the new year or at any moment in your life, the number one behavior change or skill that has the biggest impact on your happiness and your fulfillment is being kinder to yourself. And so if you could become aware of how often you trash yourself, and then we're going to teach you to interrupt it, and then we're going to teach you to replace it with something that is kind, you will see your whole life change. Your whole life change.
Right. Absolutely. And I think you brought up a really good thing in that you have to become aware of it, and you have to realize that sometimes, like, the way you talk to yourself, like, believe it or not, it does impact us, and whether we want to admit it or not. I think sometimes people, when they're feeling so down about themselves, they have a hard time admitting that something in their life is going wrong, because they're already feeling so low that the idea of even having something bring them even down lower, like, scares the hell out of them, right?
Yeah, so let's break this apart. Let's role play here. Okay? So let's say you are what was the sport that you played as a kid?
I tried to play all sports. I wasn't very good, but I would say the sport that I was the most consistent with was basketball.
Okay. So little Doug is on the basketball court, and there's a foul, and Doug is the person that is selected to shoot the free throw. And little Doug steps up to the free throw line. And then all of a sudden they call a timeout. And you come running back to the huddle. What would be the most empowering and encouraging and motivating thing that your coach or teammates could do or say in order to help you perform and feel your best when you step onto that line?
Like, I believe in you and you're going to make it.
I believe in you and you're going to make it. You got this. And then they send you back into that game with a high five, right? How would that make you feel, little 9-year-old Doug?
I'd feel pretty confident.
Right. Now, how would little 9-year-old Doug feel if, when you came back to that huddle and you're about to go do this free throw, that your teammates are like, "Oh, him? He's a piece of shit. He screws everything up. Are you kidding me? What? What? Oh my God. Well, he shouldn't be the one that does." How would that make little Doug feel?
It would probably obviously make me feel like I'm not going to make the shot. So why even bother?
Correct. What you say to yourself matters.
Right.
And we understand that from a common sense perspective. But somewhere along the line, we have all stopped saying, you're going to make it. You got this. And we've started saying, you're a piece of shit. You're not good enough. Why even bother? And when you send yourself into a conversation, into a presentation, into even typing up an email, when you start your day by saying, I look terrible, I screwed up again yesterday, I hate my life, that's not going to motivate you to change it. And so your sense of feeling like the effort is worth it begins and ends with how encouraging, supportive, and kind you are to yourself. And, we can also take this little role play exercise and go, well, let's say you miss the shot and you come back to the sideline again. What could your coach say, or what would you want your coach to say to help you get your head back in the game and to brush off the mistake that you just made?
Like, you did your best, Doug. You'll get them next time. Like, get back in there. And I have a feeling you're going to be a positive contribution to the team.
Yeah, that's right. Shake it off. You did
Shake
your
it off.
best. You're going to do it next time. This is you win some, you lose some. Let's go. Now I need you to win some, right? I believe in you.
I think one of the role plays that we could maybe go into that I think is pretty common with people is that they acknowledge that they maybe have to start talking to themselves better, but whatever they start to say that's positive, there's this cognitive dissonance because they just don't believe it. So
Right.
how do you get somebody who for the last 10 to 15 years has just been completely destroying themselves self-talk wise, begin to build some consistency with that. So now that becomes a new habit that they're talking to themselves in a more positive way and they actually believe it instead of just saying it.
This is a phenomenal and really smart question. If you have been trashing yourself for 10 years, you do have a cognitive dissonance. You don't even hear it anymore.
Right.
Because that negative, you're a piece of shit, you're not good enough, you screw everything up, first began as something you said. Then it became a belief. Your brain started to align with the belief and it starts to become your identity. I always screw things up. And I want you to hear me loud and clear. If you are on social media and you ever go to the Discover page on Instagram or on TikTok or on any platform, that social media platform has put together a mosaic of content that aligns with everything that you consume in your feed. That social media platform on the Discover page has assembled a world on social media that looks just like the stuff you're always looking at. Your brain works exactly the same way. One of the reasons why it is so important for you to identify how often you are trashing yourself or being pessimistic or you are being negative in your attitude and unkind to yourself is because as long as you think and speak that shit, the Discover page of your mind presents a world that matches to that negative dialogue. So that's why this is critical. The second thing that you need to do, because you're unconscious to it, right, is there are two things that are going to work, because just trying to speak kindly often doesn't work because you have so trained your mind that you think you're not good enough, that saying, I'm good enough doesn't work because your brain literally looks at you and like, who are you talking to? Like, because I can't be you. So there's two things that will help you based on the research. The first one is journaling exercises, because there is something that happens when you create a new habit where every single morning before you look at that social media, you open up a blank page. And the way that I journal is very simple. I always start by writing down 5 things that I want. And I just let them flow through me. What are 5 things that I really want? And it might be something small. It might be that, I want a really cool new pair of sneakers. It might be something big. I really want to feel happy. It might be something that is a feeling like, this pandemic has kicked the shit out of everybody. I am not immune from the feeling of burnout or the feeling of languishing, the feeling of disconnection even from self that we can all feel when you're isolated for this long and you're remote for this long and you're stressed out for this long. And so allowing yourself to write down 5 things that you want. I want to feel like myself again. It allows the things that you desire to flow through the self-doubt and through the negativity and through all the crap that buries it and pushes it down, and it allows it to come to the surface. And the writing it down is important because your mind is paying attention. That discover page that your mind creates pays attention to what you say is important. And if you begin a new habit of just starting your day with a blank piece of paper and writing down 5 things that you want, every day, it can be the same things every day. It can be different things every day. You just allow yourself to do this. You will start to build the skill of being connected to what you desire. You will start to develop a skill of tuning out the self-doubt and tuning into what you want. And this is really important because your brain is paying attention, and it doesn't require you to talk to yourself. It just write it on a piece of paper. The next thing that you're going to do, step 2, is write down why you want these things. Because if you have a negative dialogue, Doug, you have for decades talked yourself out of the things that you want. You have filled your heart and your soul and your mind with all the reasons why it's never going to happen. And so by starting every day with a new habit, write down 5 things that you want and then write down why you want these things. You are developing a skill of listening to what you want instead of listening to the self-doubt. That's step 1. That's one thing that you can do to fight decades of negative self-talk. The second thing that you can do is every morning after you brush your teeth, add a high 5 in the mirror to your reflection to your morning routine. That will have a shockingly powerful impact on your negative self-talk. And the reason why it does is because your brain watches you do it, and you only give a high 5 to somebody that you believe in, that you're rooting for, that you're kind to, and that you want to see win. And what we've found based on researching this simple habit, adding a high 5 to the mirror every single morning, you don't say a word. As stupid as it sounds, just high 5 the mirror. What we have found after researching this for 18 months and having 153,000 people from 91 countries do this for 5 days is that it has a profound effect on how you speak to and how you see yourself, because it is an action that demonstrates to your brain that you care about yourself and you support yourself. And so those are 2 physical things that you can do to start to shut down and fight back against the critic that is programmed into your head.
I think it's amazing that you've kind of put together this high 5 habit, but also you invite people to do deeper work as well. It's not as simple as just saying, hey, give yourself a high 5 and then your life's going to be fixed. It's like, no, you encourage people to do other things. You're talking about developing some things called like self-awareness, where you're actually becoming aware of like what it is that's bothering you, what it is that you want. And then also like writing down like why I think is so important, because I'm a trainer, so I see this a lot in the fitness space where people don't put an emotional connection to their fitness goals. They say, oh, I just want to lose weight. And it's like, that's not what they want. People want to be able to look at themselves in the mirror and be proud of their health. That's the emotional connection, right? People want to be able to carry the groceries up and down their steps when they get older. They want to be able to walk their daughter down the aisle. They want to be able to play with their kids when they get older. Like those are the real reasons. And so I'm so glad that you brought that up.
Can I share something? Because
Yeah.
I think that's a wildly important point, Doug, and it is completely missed by most of us. And I'm going to tell 2 stories. So, every single morning, as part of my morning routine, I write down 5 things that I want in my journal, and then I write down why. And what's been really interesting about adding this practice to my morning routine is that I didn't realize, because of the cognitive dissonance, I'm just so used to feeling like I don't deserve to be happy, or that something's wrong, or focusing on what's wrong, or beating myself up, that I was completely unaware of how much I was silently suffering in my life. It just was the autopilot mode I was on, to focus on what wasn't working, to push myself relentlessly, to point out what I was doing wrong. That it wasn't until I started writing down 5 things that I wanted and the why I wanted these things, it was really important. Because at the bottom of every why that you come up with is the singular thing that every human being wants. And that is, I just want to feel like I'm seen, that I'm happy, that I deserve to have these things just because I want them, that I am enough of a person for simply being alive, that it's okay for me to just want to feel better and happier. And, when you talk about, for example, you just mentioned this example that you're a trainer and you have people come into the gym, and just saying, I want to get in better shape is not enough. If you want to tap into the internal desire to change, go deep and get to the heart of the embarrassing thing that you don't want to say. Because saying, I need to lower my cholesterol, that's not going to get you to have the force inside you to push yourself out of bed on a cold morning when it's 7 degrees, like it was in Vermont this morning, and get out of bed and go exercise. But if you say, I haven't had my shirt off in public in 15 years, and I am tired of feeling like the most out of shape person. I am tired of my own behavior being a form of rejection. And I want to get in shape because I deserve to be proud of myself. And I'm sick of feeling like shit. And I want a 6-pack because I want to take my shirt off and I want to feel great about my body and I want to experience an amazing orgasm. That will motivate you.
You're so right. And a lot of times people will come to me and I'll ask them like 3 or 4 whys. Like, so if somebody says, I'll walk you through this, somebody says, I want to lose weight. Well, why? Well, because I'm just not fitting right in my clothes. And I'll say, well, why does that bother you so much? And it's like, well, it's like my belt's starting to get a little tight and I feel uncomfortable when I'm going out. And I'm like, well, why does that bother you so much? And then normally they'll get like an emotional response. They'll be like, like, I'll come home and just bawl my eyes out because all of my friends go to the gym, they work out, they're in shape, and I just can't seem to do it. And boom, there you go. And if I were to ask another why, I mean, what I normally would get is like, this is it. They're like, I'm just so tired of feeling unworthy. I'm so tired of feeling like I'm not enough. I'm so tired of being unhealthy, even though I should be doing it to take care of my family. And that's where you can really start to attach emotion to changing, because when you don't want to go to the gym, it's not like, I'm not going to the gym, I only want to lose weight. It's like, no, I better go to the gym because of what I told my trainer I wanted to do, or what I told myself I wanted to do. I want to do this for my family. I want to do this for my self-esteem. I want to do this for me because I deserve it. Game changes, right?
Yeah. You're not going to feel motivated or inspired to do the work if you're bashing yourself and saying, I need to lose weight, I'm a piece of shit.
Right.
But if you say, no, I deserve to be happy, and I know this is going to make a difference, you are building the skill of self-empowerment. You see, it's a skill to push yourself through the resistance that you're going to feel when you have to create a new habit. It's a skill to tune out the self-doubt and to push yourself and do it anyway. It is a skill to listen to a more positive voice in your head and tune out the negative one that you've been listening to for 20 years. And so instead of thinking in terms of habits and all these kind of patterns of behavior, I want you to think about the fact that what habits create in your life is they create skills. And self-awareness is a skill. Pushing yourself to take action when you're afraid or not feeling like it, that's a skill. Being kind to yourself, that's a skill. And when you have something as a skill in your life, you can use that skill to help you in every area of your life. The reason why your life isn't changing is because your thinking isn't changing. If you wake up every morning and the first thought in your head is making yourself wrong, why can't I just get out of bed? Why can't I just go exercise? Why can't I eat healthy? The reason why you can't change is because your thinking is stopping you. Your thinking is the problem. And I used to be just like that. I used to lie in bed and allow space for that negative garbage to come into my mind. I used to lie in bed and make myself wrong. I used to lie in bed, and the fact that I was lying there and not getting up, I would literally say to myself, Sue, I'm such a horrible person. I'm such a loser. I can't even get out of bed. I would use the fact that I was lying there to just beat myself up. And so the first thing you have to do, Sue, is you have to understand that you've got to change the way that you think. And I'm going to give you a simple thought reversal that I am positive will work for you. You ready? Because I had this thought this morning. So this morning, today's Boston Marathon Day, right? I woke up at 6 o'clock in the morning to the loudest rainstorm and these massive thunderclaps. Kaboom, kaboom. And part of our house has a metal roof. And so when it rains, it looks really beautiful on the outside, but if you're thinking about ever living in a house with a metal roof, I'm going to warn you, whenever it rains, it is about 50 times louder than it normally is because it's like ping, 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 ping on the metal roof. So I wake up, it's raining, the thunder's like, and the first thing I think is, oh my God, those poor runners. Oh, they have to run the marathon in this? Oh. It's raining outside, they're standing in Hopkinton, they're cold, they're wet, they have to run it in this. The first thought was negative. And then it reminded me that when you think I have to, it's an obligation. When you think I have to, you immediately feel a burden. When you think I have to, you immediately feel heavy. I want you, Sue, to try a simple thought reversal. Because I was lying there this morning, the alarm went off. I thought about the weather. It was earlier than I'd planned to get up because the thunder had woken me up. And then I realized, oh my God, I'm going down this negative thinking trap. If runners think I've got to run it, I have to run in this. I have to run in this weather. Oh, poor me, this is terrible. If spectators think, oh, I have to cheer these people on in this weather. If you think, oh, I have to get up. What's wrong with me? I can't get up. Oh, I have to go to work. What's wrong with me that I have to go to work? Oh, I have to go to the gym. Oh, I have to eat healthy. You're already setting yourself up to fail. And so I want you to use a simple thought reversal that every single marathon runner today at the start needs to be thinking. And I need to be, in fact, actually, I'm going to show you. Come here. So this is my board. As you know, I have dyslexia. I'm writing a book. It's like the hardest thing in the planet for me to do, to organize my thoughts in big, broad strokes. So I use a lot of visual mapping in order to keep me grounded. and we're writing a new book. The title is so incredible. I know we've had like 3 or 4 titles, but we actually have the most amazing title now. Super excited. The title, I'm positive. That's right, I'm positive you can change your life. I am positive that you can change your mindset. I'm positive that you are more powerful than you think. I'm positive that you're more amazing than you think. I am positive that you can do anything that you put your mind to. I'm positive is not only who I am for you, I'm positive is a strategy. It's a strategy for life. It's a philosophy about being optimistic, about being positive, not because we're trying to do, put some nice spin on really hard problems, no, but because optimism and being positive is actually the best strategy on the planet, because it helps you see solutions, it helps you spot opportunities, it helps you from going down the negative rabbit hole that Sue was going down. Why can't I just? So let's talk about the thought reversal I want you to do today, to go from I'm negative, why can't I just, I have to run this race in this nasty weather. No, that's not what you're gonna say anymore. You're gonna say, I get to. Do you see what mine says? I get to write a book. This is front and center for me. Because of my dyslexia, because of my ADD, writing a book is like the hardest thing on the planet. Look at my workspace, for crying out loud. Is this not the workspace of somebody that has dyslexia and ADD? Please. Okay, so it's so easy for me, Sue, and for you. I want you to pay attention to this. It's so easy for me to go down the tunnel of I have to write a book, I'm behind. This is so hard. I'm sorry, I've got something stuck to my face that I keep touching, but whatever. That I have to write a book, that it's not going well. I can go so quickly down that rabbit hole that I use this statement visually. I get to write a book as a way to anchor myself in the opportunity. Because you know what? I'm positive. I'm positive that if I change the way that I think, it'll change everything. And it does. Because if I sit at my messy desk and I tell myself I have to write this thing, I have to write this thing, I have to get this done, I have to get this done, I am opening up a Pandora's box of negativity. If, on the other hand, I stop thinking that and I start thinking this, I get to write a book. I get to impact Rubina's life. Look at this. This was this morning, Rubina. Mindset reset has worked. We did it. And for the first time, I didn't feel like I took a break from the gym. She's not making herself wrong. Do you understand what a breakthrough that is? And so, Sue, it starts with how you think. You have to start catching yourself when you beat yourself up. And if you're watching this live stream and you're standing in Hopkinton, and I know it's been raining this morning, but guess what? The weather's cleared. It's going to be a beautiful day. It's not that hot. The fans are going to be spectacular, and you get to run this race. And for you, whatever it is that you've been feeling heavy about, that you've been feeling negative about, please, I want you to take on the I'm positive strategy. I want you to take on switching from thinking this thing that's negative to, thinking that thing that's negative to thinking this thing that's positive. You get to go to work today. How lucky are you? You have a job. You get to go to the gym today and exercise today. How lucky are you? You're healthy enough to go there and you've got the access to do it. You get to meditate today. How lucky are you that you can find the 10 minutes and that you are educated enough in mind body that you know how important that is for you. You get to have the hard conversation today. How lucky are you that you get to do that so you can clear that dead space out? You get to draw boundaries in your life. How lucky are you that you have the power to do that? So today, what I want you to do, I want you to catch yourself when you start thinking negative, and I want you to step into the I'm positive space. I want you to go from thinking that thing that's negative, I have to, into I get to. And I want you to see what happens. So in the comments, what I'd like you to do is I would like for you to write down your statement, your thought reversal. I want you to go from thinking this thing that's that thing that's negative to this thing that's positive. I want you to go in the comments. I'm not going to think, or like I used to think I have to go to work. Today, I'm going to say I get to go to work. What are you going to get to do today that you normally resist, but I want you to use this. I get to. Use this statement to flip yourself from the negative and join me in the positive. You got that? This is not like some softy, just, I don't know the right word for it. I cannot underscore how profound of a point and a strategy it is that you become positive in your life. This is not some joke. This is a strategy. Optimism wins. Positivity is where it's at. And if you've got a pattern of seeing the world from a half full lens, that's a problem. If you've got a pattern of having a woe is me or why me or the world's out to get to me pattern of thinking, that is a freaking problem. And you have got to, if you do nothing else, you have got to start to interrupt those thoughts. And instead of thinking that stuff that's negative, I want you to think these things that are positive. And it starts with catching yourself from saying, oh, I have to go to the grocery store, to I get to go. Oh, I have to pick up my kid today. I get to pick up my kid. Oh, I have to do this. I have to write this book. I get to. This is powerful stuff. Do not underestimate the power of this just because it's simple. I write about this story in the new book, The High Five Habit, and I'm going to take everybody back 4 years ago. So this is the first book. The High Five Habit is the first book that I have written and published in almost 5 years. Back in 2007, I released a book called The 5-Second Rule. And Lisa and her husband, Tom, played a pivotal role in one of the biggest professional breakdowns of my life. And they had no idea that it was happening at the time.
No clue.
And Lisa, I think you just found out about it by reading about it in chapter 12 of my new book.
Yep.
So here's what was going on. I had written the 5-Second Rule book. I had self-published it because I thought that that was the best thing to do. I had a dream of being a #1 New York Times bestselling author. And I put it up on my vision board, and I dreamed about it, and I thought about it, and I studied all the authors that we all admire. And I did my best to do all the things that you are supposed to do in order to sell enough books to grace the New York Times bestseller list, right? So I email my newsletter list, and I am doing speeches all over the place, and I'm pre-selling books as best I can in the back of a room with my pad of paper, taking people's, like literally for months, I did everything I could. And when the book came out, I sent the email out to everybody. And folks on my email list and everybody I'm related to immediately went to Amazon to buy the book. And here's what happened. Within an hour or two, the book was listed as out of stock. Now, I thought, yes, yes, I have won. I am a best-selling author. I have sold out of Amazon in a matter of a few hours. Oh my God. This like literally, this proves all the things that everybody said about me in middle school is not true anymore. I've done it, Lisa. And then I started to realize I had not sold all the books. Because I had 20,000 books at Amazon. I did not have that many people on my email list. And people started to email back going, it's out of stock, it's out of stock, it's out of stock.
You think your dream, like the height of your freaking dreams come true at this point?
Yes, I think I've done it. Like I've sold, like I am a success. I am a phenomenon. This is unbelievable. I think the dreams are coming true. And then within a couple hours, people start emailing going, it's out of stock, Mel, it's out of stock, it's out of stock, it's out of stock. It dawns on me, there's no way I sold 20,000 books. There's no fucking way. I call the printer that I worked with that helped me self-publish, and it's a little self-publishing publisher. And he tells me that he's seen this happen before, where when Amazon gets a flood of traffic to something that they're not expecting, they will turn off supply to make sure it's not a bunch of bots. And to also check inventory. And we had no ability to figure this out. So for the first couple weeks that the book was available, it was out of stock. So here I am in this 2-week period where I have worked my ass off. I have done everything you're supposed to do, Lisa. And my book is out of stock. I have sent my entire marketing campaign to a product you can't get. And I'm thinking, why are you doing this to me, universe? I have worked hard. Why do I have to be the bad news bearers? Why am I not part of that super awesome group of best-selling authors? When is it going to be my turn? And I start to go down the drain. Enter Tom and Lisa Bilyeu. So when I come here and I am doing your show, I show up here and I'm like, this is my last hope. Because by the time this thing gets on air, maybe the book will be available. I have got to pull myself together. So I walk in here and I was just, I didn't know you yet because I only knew impact theory and I'd only seen it. I knew this was a big deal. I knew that being on Tom's show could really change things for me. And I walk in here and I feel like a complete failure. You are lovely and delightful. And I immediately start feeling like I don't freaking belong here. I mean, they just had this best-selling author and that best-selling author and this famous person was just here. What am I doing here? I am a self-published author with a book that's out of stock. I'm failing. I hope that they don't know because this is terrible. He is going to figure out before I enter the set that I don't belong here.
You think imposter syndrome galore?
Oh, completely. So I'm upstairs in the bathroom and I am having a case, no kidding, of stress diarrhea. I have got to empty the bowels because I am so sure that I'm about to be called out for the fraud that I am, that the book is not successful, that Tom's made a mistake. I look at the mirror, my cheeks are as red as a baboon's ass. I am sweating profusely. I've got pit stains on my red shirt. And then there's a knock on the door. We're ready for you, Mel. I splash water on my face. I literally am like, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, pull your shit together, Mel, get the fuck out there. And I open up the door and I go.
I was like, oh my God, Mel freaking Robbins. This woman is amazing. This woman is so freaking badass. Oh my God, she's got confidence to wear funky shoes. Oh my God, this woman is I'm in awe. And so I'm like, do I have the right to talk to her?
Oh,
I'm
for God's sake.
But I'm like, can I ask her how the book is going? I'm all tense. I'm all nervous. I'm okay. Okay, is the team right? Are we impressing her? Does she have her right coffee? I'm in my own freaking head. And it's so funny. Again, why I want to bring this up is how different our perspectives were. I was in fucking awe of you, girl. And I still am. But I was like, you're on a pedestal and you get on set and you sit down. And the first question, you're like, motivation is garbage. And I was like, this woman is the most confident, strong woman I've ever met in my life.
Well, because, that's what fell out of my mouth because I was basically having a panic attack in your bathroom. So motivation is garbage. I wasn't feeling motivated when I walked on that set. I was feeling scared. And one of the things that you believe that I believe too is that your feelings are going to rise and they're going to fall. And feeling nervous and feeling scared and feeling on edge and imposter syndrome, it's all normal stuff. You got to develop the ability to feel all that stuff, have your cheeks be as red as a baboon's butt, and walk out there and do it anyway. That's what you've got to develop in life. Mm-hmm. And that moment taught me that. And there was something else that happened. So when I left that set, the whole time that the book was out of stock and I'm sitting here going, woe is me, and I've failed again, and I screw everything up, and why doesn't anything ever work out for me? I would catch myself and I would say this, there's no way, Mel, that you've worked this hard, that something amazing isn't going to happen. You have to keep going. You have to believe that this moment is preparing you for something amazing that hasn't happened yet. That was the mantra that had deep meaning for me in this moment because it was a way for me to take an attitude that was going down the toilet and flip it into what I call a high five attitude that was more empowering and supportive and encouraging. And so I kept repeating it, Lisa, there's no way something isn't going to happen when you work this hard. This moment is preparing you. It's giving you an experience, a person, a skill, something, Mel, that you need because something amazing is coming. You don't know it, but something amazing is coming. that gave me the resilience to keep going, even though the book was out of stock, even though by all measures I had failed. So your interview releases, and I all of a sudden get this email from Audible. I had forgotten that I had published an audiobook. I had self-published that too. My husband had uploaded it himself to the Amazon platform called ACX, which is a self-publishing platform for Audible. I had completely forgotten about the audiobook because I was so focused on this New York Times things. And by the way, here's another thing. You can't make the New York Times list if you're a self-published author. Something I didn't even know when I started. So here I thought I'd fail, didn't achieve my dream, the whole thing. I get this email. Your monthly report is ready. And I'm like, monthly report? What are they talking about? I click on that report. I open it up. I am literally like, oh my God, audiobooks. Audiobooks? Who knew audiobooks were a thing? Here's what happened. The entire time that I kept going, something amazing was happening, Lisa. They were going to the hardcover, but it wasn't available. They bought the only thing that was available, the audiobook. The 5-second rule became the #1 audiobook of the year, Lisa. It, to this day, is the most successful self-published audiobook in the history of Audible. And it created a brand new partnership that I have with Audible. Something, by the way, that I never would have had happen had my hardcover campaign be successful. And here's the other thing. I have never achieved my goal of being a New York Times bestselling author, and I might never achieve it. I've never made a traditional bestseller list. And it proves something that I believe very deeply. And that is that your dreams and the things that you put on your vision board have a very important purpose. They pull you through your fears. They inspire you to take action, but they are not necessarily meant to be achieved. I believe when you pursue your dreams and you keep going and you keep telling yourself that if I work hard, something amazing is going to happen, you'll achieve something better, something that you don't even know or can even think about right now because it's not even on your radar screen. Those dreams are dots on the map of your life that pull you in a direction you're meant to go. But you might never end up there because you're meant to end up somewhere else.
I actually have an incredible quote of yours about dreams. You say, when it comes to your dreams, you have 2 choices, pursue them or be haunted by them.
It's true. You can't forget a dream. You can't. What is your limiting belief? What is the thing that you think about yourself? Maybe your parents or your mother or your father taught you to think that way about yourself. Maybe you went through a horrible breakup and that person made you feel unworthy. Maybe you've had a bunch of setbacks in your life and that's what gave you that limiting belief. But what is your limiting belief? Because today, what we're going to do today is we're going to take it a step further. Now that you've identified your limiting belief, we're going to look at what is it costing you to choose to repeat it. Because remember the quote I started with. You have a choice right now. You get to repeat the things you've always done, or you can evolve them and become more deliberate. Let's talk about the cost of that limiting belief. I'm going to go first. So write down your limiting belief. I see a lot of, I'm not good enough. My mental health is holding me back. I can't run a successful business. I'm lazy and I can't do anything. I'm not healthy enough. Money is the issue. I'm scared to fail. What is the limiting belief that you have? I'm certain it has something to do with not being enough. Once you've written that down, you're afraid of failure. You don't deserve success, all that kind of stuff. I don't know how to start. These are excellent. You're doing an excellent job. The first step to moving from that default into getting deliberate is actually seeing it. So seeing it is fantastic because now we can start to understand that, whoa, this got programmed in. It's my default mode. I want to get rid of it. How do we get rid of it? Well, let's first identify why you want to. Let's take a hard look at the cost of having this limiting belief. So in order to figure out the cost of having the limiting belief, what's my limiting belief? That I'm not a good person. That's my limiting belief. That I am not a good person. That you don't think I'm a good person. That I don't think I'm a good person. And here's what you're going to do in order to identify the cost, okay? You're going to ask yourself 3 questions, and they're very simple. What is this limiting belief in my case that I'm not a good person? What does it cost me in my past to think this way? What is it costing me in this present moment to think that I'm not a good person? And here's the kicker. If I don't evolve this, if I don't get deliberate, what is it going to cost me in the future to continue to think that I'm not a good person? So in the past, thinking that I'm not a good person, it did a bunch of things. First of all, it made me very sad. Secondly, it made me a liar because I assumed that I wasn't good enough and I'm not a good person, so I got to pretend to be somebody else. It also made me cheat on people because I didn't think I deserved love. And it also, by believing that I wasn't a good person, it somehow justified the bad behavior. I mean, if I'm a bad person, then I do bad things, right? What does it cost me in the present to believe that I'm not a good person? Well, it costs me a lot of joy. It costs me connection in friendships because I'm constantly questioning whether or not people actually like me for me. It makes me second guess myself and whether or not I deserve the success. And what does it cost me in the future? It's going to cost me everything. If I continue to repeat this pattern and I continue to allow myself to default to believing that I'm not a good person, I will never be fully happy. I will never be fully present. I probably will not be successful when we launch this new daytime talk show in the fall. And so I got a choice to make, and I want to get rid of this because I can see what allowing myself to believe that I'm not a good person is costing me. This exercise of identifying your limiting belief and then seeing what it's cost you in your past, your present, and your future is so important for you to do that I want to give you another example. So to really, really drive it home, okay? And so I want to bring in my husband. Why don't you scoot on this? I don't know if you can lean in on that thing. You sit on this chair. I'm going to bring in my husband, Christopher Robbins. Yes, if you've ever been a fan of Winnie the Pooh, his name is Christopher Robbins. And Chris is going to go through this exercise too. And I think it's important for we're sharing a chair here, and so we're like really close. I think it's important for you guys to know that Chris is one of the partners in our media company. He's our CFO, and he's also the founder of a men's retreat called Soul Degree. And he's a yoga instructor and president of the Booster Club. So this is a guy that's like really accomplished and super amazing. So with that context, founder of Soul Degree, what's your limiting belief?
Well, of course, it would be appropriate that I think forever it's just been that I'm not good enough, I think that's it, succinctly, that I'm not living up. And certainly in the past, it's been all around the decisions I've made career-wise, never thinking that I was in fact good enough, which just took away from, I suppose, all the joy that I could have had.
Were you really sad when you were little?
Yeah, I think I was just down and out, probably feeling alone, and like the decisions I had made along the path were not the right ones, and then that subsequently not performing, and or at least not performing to my own expectation.
So how has not feeling good enough? I can see how it would make you feel sad, especially, there's so much pressure on men to succeed, feeling like you weren't good enough in your career, blah, blah, blah. Even ski racing, because you grew up as a kid ski racing. How did feeling not good enough impact the way you raced?
I probably just could have skied a lot better than even I did because I was constantly thinking it wasn't good enough.
And now what about in the present? What is the default belief that you're not good? Is it like, how is it still in your life in this moment? Because here's the thing about a limiting belief, guys, is that everybody will look at you on the outside and they'll be convinced you don't have it. They'll be shocked that you You believe that about yourself? And that's why it's important for you to be honest with yourself about what your limiting belief is, because it's something you are doing to yourself. So what is the belief that you're not good enough? How is that impacting your life right now, Chris?
Probably has everything to do with just being the point parent. As much as I love being the point parent and having the time with the kids that I have, given your own schedule.
Let me explain what that means. So Chris and I Chris and I, because of the amount of work that I use, Chris is the one that is home more often. He's the one that is really in charge of what's going on with the kids. He has been home for these last 3 to 4 years, playing a huge role in the back end of our company. But the primary role is the parent. And traditionally, at least in the United States, it's the woman that does that. And so it's been, I think, a very fulfilling yet confronting thing for Chris to be playing that role in, am I saying this correctly?
Totally.
Just to bring everybody up to speed?
Just embracing the idea that me being the one at home handling the lion's share of the things at home are, of course, consistent with my negative belief that that's not good enough, that that's not being supportive enough.
Is it also with success? Like that's not enough
Yeah,
in terms
it's
of your own
not-
career, even though you
Yeah, I
founded a
think
men's retreat?
Well,
Seriously.
you mean,
Well, you run Soul Degree. You run the Booster Club for the high school. You teach yoga classes. You are a CFO, and it's still not enough. And here's the thing that's so interesting, everybody. I'm going to ask Chris a question he doesn't know I'm going to ask him. If you could go back and do something different these last 3 or 4 years and actually go and work and build a business that's solely your own and not be around, and I mean, would you trade the years that you've had with our kids, the last 3 years, or for something else?
no, definitely not.
Well, see, then that's the thing that's crazy. Is here you're sitting here torturing yourself saying, you're not good enough, you're not good enough, it's not enough, it's not enough. But given the option, if we could wave a magic wand and change everything, and the circumstances would be different, but you had to trade the time that you had with our kids, would you do it? The answer is no. So here's the thing that's interesting, and I'm so happy that you admitted to that, because it points out the fact that your default thinking isn't logical. It's just a habit. It's something you've been doing for so long that you don't even realize it. And even though it doesn't serve you, and even though, like Chris just said, he would never change a thing, and yet he still thinks it's not enough. That to me means that there is some automation here that's going on in your brain where it's set on default. Oh, I got to just think I'm not enough. I got to think I'm not enough. I got to think I'm not enough. You know? Well, here's the bigger question. If you allow this default mode to stay programmed in your brain, how is that going to impact your future? Particularly if you think about things like your aspirations for Soul Degree, the men's retreat that you run.
I think that if it perpetuates, then I'm obviously my own impediment to what I want it to be. You know, if I'm constantly in that mindset of it's not enough, I haven't done enough, then how could Soul Degree ever become what it should be?
What do you want it to become?
I think I would love to see it touch as many men's lives.
You're about to cry, I could tell.
Yeah, as possible.
Why do you get choked up?
Just because I know the impact. I've experienced the positive impact that it can have. And it's limitless, I think, in the difference that it could make, regardless even of your age. So
Do you see how your limiting belief, the default thinking that you're not enough, will prevent you from?
Oh, totally.
How does it stop you when you think you're not enough? How does it stop you? Like, what are the things that you do when you start getting in that mindset?
Well, it's probably things that you don't do, right? Because if you're not going to be good enough, well, why go do that thing? Whether it's write more or, sort of test the elasticity of what Soul Degree could be also. I mean, it's in a state where there's still so much that we could do to enhance the experience, have it reach more people, which starts with my own. Again, I think part of the limitation is that I've always argued, hey, I'm a shitty marketer. I'm not good at putting the word out, if you will. And even this conversation, talking about something like Soul Degree is...
How many of you can relate to this?
I could be a lot better at that.
You're just stopping yourself, not all the time because of your limiting belief. Like, you go to write a blog post about the thing that fills your heart and you're like, ooh, should I really put this out there? That's your limiting belief. That's your default setting. And you're dead right, Chris, and it's the same thing for me and the same thing for Mandy. What was yours?
I'll never get there.
I'll never get there. I love that one. I'll never get there. Yeah. Because you can feel like just the no matter how hard I try, it's never going to be enough. I'm never going to get there. It's never going to happen. And how that sets you up to just race and race and race and race. And Danielle, what's yours?
But I'm not smart enough.
I'm not smart enough. Yeah, I'm not smart enough to do this. And so if your belief, the default that got programmed a long time ago is I'm not smart enough, then you'll tell yourself, I'm not smart enough to write this blog post. I'm not smart enough to figure this out. I'm not smart enough to build that kind of business. I'm not smart enough to attract the kind of person that I want. And the thing that's scary about default settings, everybody, is that not only are they automated in the default network in your brain, but they're a protection mechanism. By thinking you're not good enough, not smart enough, I'll never get there, I'm not a good person, you actually hold yourself back. And that's one of the reasons why we cling to it. And so if you haven't already, because we're going to wrap up this training and I'm going to tell you what's coming up tomorrow and then we're going to answer questions. If you haven't already,
you got to hear the quote, though, from Nepo today.
Oh, okay.
It's so on point.
See, Soul Degree right here. So every morning.
It's so cheesy, but
no,
it's so
not.
good.
Every morning, Chris, and I mostly sometimes, Chris reads from this. This is so tattered. He's been doing it for years. My mom also reads this book every single day. Your mom reads this book every single day. It's a page or two every single day. Mark Nero was fighting cancer when he wrote this. And it's beautiful. So
Nepo.
Mark Nepo. Did I say it wrong?
Nemo.
I said Nemo.
But
Finding Nemo.
I'll just read a snippet because it's so on point for January 3rd. That is the 3rd, right, today?
Yeah.
Each person is born with an unencumbered spot, free of expectation and regret, free of ambition and embarrassment, free of fear and worry, an umbilical spot of grace where we are each first touched by God. It is this spot of grace that issues peace. Psychologists call this spot the psyche, theologians call it the soul, Jung calls it the seat of the unconscious, Hindu masters call it the Atman, Buddhists call it Dharma, Rilke calls it inwardness, Sufis call it Qualb, and Jesus calls it the center of our love. To know this spot of inwardness is to know who we are, not by surface markers of identity, not by where we work, or what we wear, or how we like to be addressed, but by feeling our place in relation to the infinite and by inhabiting it. This is the hard, lifelong task, for the nature of becoming is a constant filming over where we begin, while the nature of being is a constant erosion of what is not essential.
Oh.
Each of us lives in the midst of this ongoing tension, growing tarnished or covered over, only to be worn back to that incorruptible spot of grace at our core.
Well, I would say the one word that came to mind when you were reading that was, let's see if I can find it, not essential. You know what's not essential is your default thinking and your negative belief. And in fact, it is essential that you get rid of it. You're awesome. You don't have to go. I'm gonna keep wrapping.
I am
this.
gonna go.
You are going? Where are you going?
Everyone. I'm sure
He's got a blog post to write because now he's gotten rid of
Exactly.
his limiting belief. Bye.
See ya.
Okay. So tomorrow, so I want you to write your limiting belief in there. And here's another thing. What is it costing you right now? What are the things you're not doing because of that limiting belief? For me, not being a good person, I think it's the thing that keeps me isolating myself. And it also, I can see how, just like Chris was explaining, that his limiting belief has him not doing things like writing more blog posts and putting himself out there. Even though I'm out there, there's, I think, a level to which I'm not because of this belief that I'm not a good person. So I want you to write in the comments what's your limiting belief and what's it costing you right now. What are you not doing because of it? And I want to come back to the opening quote. You have a choice. You're either going to repeat what you're doing or you're going to evolve it. And when you ask yourself these three questions, what is my limiting belief cost me in the past? What's it costing me right now? And what is it going to cost me if I continue to choose to do it? If I continue to choose to be on default? Hopefully, getting in touch with that will help you, give you, motivate you, push you to choose to be deliberate in what you're thinking next. Because tomorrow what we're going to be talking about is how do you create a deliberate belief, one that you don't believe yet. We're going to teach you how to think this, not that. Because it's essential that you have something to go to for when you catch yourself going to that default. So trust me when I tell you, tomorrow we are going to take you from the, oh my God, I need to stop doing this, and into the mode of, okay, I got this. I can think this, not that.
I want to talk about like a buzzword that's big in the personal development space now, and that's manifestation. And I know you talk a lot about it, but I think a lot of people get manifesting wrong in that they think that, oh, I'm just going to write something down, I'm going to say a prayer, and then things are going to come to me. And to me, I think that's total BS. I think you have to take action. What's your opinion on manifesting, and how can somebody do it the right way?
Manifesting is an incredibly important tool in your toolkit for a fulfilling and happy life. And most of us are doing it wrong. So manifesting done properly is the process by which you train your mind, body, and spirit to help you get what you want. Manifesting is not, based on the research, thinking about something and then it suddenly magically happens. And, since so many of your listeners are, people who are very, spiritual and faithful, I'm sure you've had an experience where you've prayed and prayed and prayed for something and it's not coming, it's not coming, it's not coming. You go through the worst experience or breakdown of your life. I bet jail and getting arrested was probably this for you. And then it's 10 years later that you look back and go, oh my God, my prayers were answered, just not in the manner in which I had been praying they would be answered. And so what I want you to understand is that if you want to use manifesting, here's how you're going to do it. Don't think about the end. Don't think about the mansion you want to buy. Don't think about the soulmate that you're going to meet. Don't think about the finish line on the marathon, because thinking about the end doesn't help your mind, body, and spirit prepare you to do the work to get it. There are no, get out of jail free cards in life. There just aren't. You're going to have to put in the work to get the real results that you want. And so what you do when you manifest properly is you're going to visualize the bridge or the path in between where you are today and where you want to go. So, why don't you pick something that you want, Doug? What's a goal of yours for this year?
Oh, let's see. A goal of mine for this year is I want to get my podcast to a point where it's helping tens of thousands of people.
Okay. So you just said that I want to get my podcast to a point that it's helping tens of thousands of people. Now that you have identified what your goal is, let's back up to the present moment and let's do step 2. Step 2 is, now I want you to close your eyes and I want you to visualize what are all of the tedious, annoying, boring, hard things that you need to do that you're either not doing now or you need to do more of. Start to list them out.
Being more consistent on social media, engaging with other podcasters, just being consistent and practicing patience, getting more creative, and not being scared to invest money.
That's the big one.
Right.
That's the big one. So you just said that you needed to be more patient. You needed to stop being afraid to invest money. You needed to connect with more podcasters. You needed to be on social media more. Now, what you do, now that you have a list of all the things that you need to be doing that you're not doing or you're not doing enough of, and for a lot of people, they don't know. Okay, well, I don't know. I know what I want, but I don't know what the work is. Just find somebody on social media or out in the world who has the thing that you want, study what they did, and write all those things down as an action. But generally, there are videos you can watch, there are events you can go to, there are webinars that you can take, there are books that you can read. The information of what to do is out there. So how do you use visualization now that you know what you want and you know some of the actions that you need to take that will take you in a path leading toward what you want? Well, now what you do is every single morning, you're going to add to your morning routine, writing down 5 things that you want. And one of those things is going to be, I want whatever it is that the goal is. In your case, it is, I want my podcast to reach tens of thousands of people, right? Then the why, why you want to do that. Why do you want to reach tens of thousands of people, Doug?
Because I feel that I have a strong message and I want people to use hard times to grow and make themselves better and not use it as an excuse to make their situation worse.
Okay, now let's make it about you. How do you feel when the stuff that you're putting out impacts people?
I feel amazing because it continues to reinforce that there was purpose in a lot of the pain that I went through when I was younger.
There's your why. You feel fulfilled turning the tremendous pain that you felt into a sense of purpose. And that purpose is acknowledged when you hear from people who listen to your podcast. That's your why. That's the intrinsic source of motivation for you. It's not about them. Anybody who wants to make a difference in the world, the reason why you're motivated to do that is because it feels so good for you. I'm dead serious about this, and there's nothing selfish about it. That's why it feels so good to volunteer. It's why it feels so good to give back, because you get something. You get affirmed as a human being that your time, your energy, your pain matters. And that's so important. So now that you feel that feeling inside your body of why you want this thing, because it makes you feel like you matter, it makes you come alive, whatever the reason is, now you're going to close your eyes. And you said the hardest thing for you is going to be to invest money in growing this podcast. So I want you to close your eyes and I want you to describe for me an image of how much money and what you're actually investing in. Okay, so describe that scene for me. Put me at the scene.
So I'm investing in production. I'm investing in somebody to help me do some of the tedious tasks that I'm working, that I'm like staying up super, super late. That's can be overwhelming at times because I still do have a training business. I'm investing in travel to network with other podcasters and meet different people at conferences.
Mm-hmm. And
I-
and as you see the money going out the door, what are you feeling that's negative in your body?
It's uncertainty
Where do you feel it in your body?
in my legs.
You feel it in your legs? Okay.
Yeah. And I don't know why. I think it's because I hold a lot of stress in my hips, but
Well, it's a that you know what that is, by the way, is that's your nervous system feeling uncertainty. That's where you feel it.
right.
This is how you manifest properly, by the way. Right here. You have to visualize in your mind writing the check and feeling the pain in your legs of uncertainty. You have to visualize in your mind sitting in that plane seat, flying to a conference, feeling the pit in your stomach, being worried about whether or not anyone's going to take you seriously because there's all these big podcasters there. You need to feel your chest contract and squeeze in as you walk up to somebody that you deeply admire and you start a conversation, or you walk up to an event organizer and say, I'd like to apply to be on a panel next year. How do I do that? And your chest gets really tight because you feel like you don't belong there because you don't have the numbers yet, or whatever your stupid story is. When you picture that in your mind and you feel the negative sensation in your body, you are doing resistance training. This is how you align your mind, body, and spirit to not resist the hard stuff. Here's a cool fact about your brain. Your brain doesn't know the difference between you actually spending the money, buying the plane ticket, getting on the plane and flying to that event, or you imagining it in your mind. And when you run through the hard things that you're avoiding in your mind and you allow yourself to feel the negative sensation in your body, you are training and mentally rehearsing the exact same way Olympic athletes do with the 9 sports psychologists that the U.S. Olympic team has to help our athletes prepare. You are mentally rehearsing before the actual event so that your mind and your body are trained to anticipate and push right on through all the stuff that's scary because you've already rehearsed it. That's how you use manifesting to help you do the work to get what you want.
Wow. I'm so grateful that we kind of brought that up and that you helped walk me through this.
What did you get out of that?
Well, I became aware of not only what I need to do, but like what's the fear that's attached to it.
What is the fear?
Well, the fear is always going to be uncertainty or scarcity, because I think the one thing that's been beneficial to me in my life is that I've always had my back against the wall from being somebody who was a convicted felon in jail, not growing up with a ton of money, that sort of thing, where I've always been forced to just hustle, work, where I'm used to this kind of situation. But on the flip side, the negative is I'm so used to being stressed because I grew up in a stressful environment. I put myself in a stressful environment from selling drugs and doing drugs for a majority of my life when I was younger, so that a lot of times now I've had to become aware of when I'm creating more stress around something that's a good thing instead of something that I would have seen back in the day as something that was bad or whatever.
Can I unpack that?
Sure.
Hey, I'm Mel Robbins, and I'm going to teach you the 4 simple steps that you need to follow in order to manifest the right way, according to research and science. I'm so glad you're watching this. Manifesting is an incredible skill to develop in your life and to practice and build consistently as something that you do. My definition of manifesting is manifesting when you do it following the 4 steps you're about to learn according to research and science. What manifesting does is it trains your mind, your body, your spirit to align with what you want to achieve in life. Manifesting is a way to prepare or socialize your mind and your nervous system and your body to do the work that's necessary to getting what you want. And so the steps that I'm going to walk you through work, they're based in research, and what they're doing is they remove all of the obstacles that would normally stop you from taking action. Because just thinking about what you want isn't going to get it done. What ultimately creates results in your life are actions. And so manifesting is a way to train yourself to take the actions that will change your life, that will help you get what you want. Manifesting also removes self-doubt, resistance, excuses, imposter syndrome, all the things that would normally stop you from taking the actions. The 4 steps that you need to follow, really simple. Step number 1 is give yourself permission to dream with the lid off. This is really important. And the reason why this is important is because I guarantee you that right now you are not even allowing yourself to fully dream or think about or set goals that are truly aligned with what you deeply want in your heart. That you aren't even able to manifest properly because you're not even honest with yourself about what you actually want. This is a really common thing because you're allowing your self-doubt, you are allowing your fears, your anxiety, your insecurity, you're allowing where you are to dictate and limit where you want to go. And so step 1, super important. You must allow yourself, give yourself permission to start dreaming with the lid off. Now, the scientific reason why this is so important is because you have a filter in your brain called the reticular activity system. I write about the RAS for short, the reticular activity system, extensively in the High Five Habit. The RAS is a filter in your mind, and you can do simple things that change the structure of that filter. In fact, the filter in your mind, the RAS, is always changing. So one thing that you can do in order to teach yourself how to dream with the lid off is to adopt a simple habit. Every single morning, I do a very simple thing. I write down 5 things that I want. That's it. When I start my day, after I get up when the alarm rings, I make my bed, I pull on my exercise clothes, I set an intention, I high-five myself in the mirror, I then go out into the kitchen, I crack open my high-five journal, and then inside the journal there are prompts that walk me through the steps of visualizing. And the first prompt is dream with the lid off. Set your spirit free. Write down 5 things every morning that you want. And this is important because when you get what you want out of your head and you physically put them on a piece of paper, research shows that you're 42% more likely to achieve those goals simply by writing them down. That's pretty cool. Secondly, your mind is paying attention. And when you take deliberate action and you write down what you want, you are signaling to your brain that you deserve to have these things. You're signaling to your brain that you do want those things. You're not just going to think about them. These are things that matter to you. And that helps train your mind to allow you to let the desires flow through you. Because right now, you're not manifesting properly because you're not even allowing yourself to dream with the lid off. So that's step number 1. You're going to start writing down 5 things that you want every single morning as a way to train your mind to let you dream freely. So a couple things about this little practice of writing down 5 things that you want every morning as a way to train your mind to allow you to dream again. First of all, you can write down the same 5 things every day. It's your list, your dreams, you get to do this how you want. The second thing that you could do is you could just write down different things every day. It doesn't matter because really what manifesting is manifesting as a way to train and prepare your mind, body, and spirit to help you. And if your mind is blocking you and your mind won't even allow you to fully want the things that you want, like, for example, maybe you want to be a New York Times bestselling author, but you won't even write that down because you don't think it's possible. If you won't even write it down because your self-doubt is stopping you, you're not dreaming with the lid off. And so this simple exercise, write down, I want to be a New York Times bestselling author. I want a house by the beach. I want to take my family to Disney World. I'd love to meet the love of my life. I'd like to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. I want to open a wine bar. I'd love to get in the best shape of my life. I'd like to do a handstand this year in yoga. I'd like my dog to start barking at the neighbors. Whatever you want, it doesn't matter. You're just training yourself to dream. And that's step one. Allow yourself to want what you want. Step number two for manifesting properly according to science is you must visualize the steps that lead you to the thing that you want, not the end goal. This is a major mistake that people make. They manifest improperly because all they do is focus on the end goal. If you've ever made a vision board, think about what you put on the vision board. You put up just the beach house or the $1 million in the bank, or you crossing the finish line, or you launching that business, or you having the body that you want, or you driving the Maserati, whatever it is. The end goal is what you put up on a vision board. That is not what you're going to do when you manifest. If you start focusing on crossing the finish line of the marathon, that is a one-way ticket to being unmotivated and completely discouraged. In fact, research shows that if all you do is focus on the thing that you want, and you just focus on that vision of you and your bikini body, or you with the love of your life on your arms, or you at the Oscars winning that award, or the Grammys, what happens is because you've only focused on the end goal, you start to feel really unmotivated and discouraged because you're nowhere near it. That's where manifesting comes in, because we're not going to focus on the end goal. You got to pick something that you want in order to get started. But manifesting isn't about the end. It's about the bridge. It's about going from where you are here to where you want to go. Imagine that there is a bridge that connects where you are right here with what you dream about doing. Now, that dream could be to be a Grammy Award-winning singer-songwriter. That dream might be to have a family of your own. That dream might be to have a beach house or a ski house, or to take a trip to Fiji. That dream can be whatever the hell you want it to be. But when it comes to manifesting, once you've given yourself permission to dream with the lid off and really want what you want, to feel the pull of that thing, now we got to talk about the path that connects where you are with where you want to go. And this is all about visualizing the little steps. There's a lot of research that proves why visualizing the steps is the most important thing that you could do. There was a study done at UCLA, for example, where they were researching manifestation and the power of visualization, and they broke students into two groups. And they had Group A, we're going to call these the vision board group. They had Group A close their eyes, visualize in their mind, and feel in their body themselves taking the test and then walking up to a board where the test's scores were posted and finding their name and seeing an A+. That's what Group A, the vision board group, were told to do, to visualize themselves achieving what they wanted. Group B, we're going to call these the hard workers. These students were coached in this research project to close their eyes and to visualize going back to their dorm room, sitting down at the desk, and studying, and staying up late, and putting in the work, studying and preparing for the tests. Now let me ask you a question. Which group do you think did better on the actual test? Was it Group A, the vision board group, who were taught to visualize and picture themselves walking up to a board and seeing the A+? Or was it Group B, the hard work group, the group that was taught to close their eyes and visualize and seeing themselves doing the work to study for the test? Well, if you answered Group A, you're wrong. If you answered Group B, you got the correct answer. The reason why Group B, the students who visualized studying for the tests, got better test scores is because when you visualize yourself doing the work, Visualizing it leads you to doing the work. And it's only through actions that you will get the result that you want. Preparing your mind and visualizing yourself doing it lowers your resistance and leads to you taking the action. That's why manifesting works. You know, the same is true in sports. There's all kinds of research in sports psychology. In fact, our Olympic athletes for the US Olympic team, they hire sports psychologists to train our top Olympic athletes, particularly after they've been injured, in visualizing themselves competing. When you coach an athlete to mentally rehearse every single detail about going through the competition, you are training the mind, body, and spirit to show up and dominate. This is particularly true for athletes after they've been injured and they're stepping back into competition. If you've been injured in competition, you're naturally going to feel anxious. You're naturally going to be nervous. Your brain and nervous system circuitry is now programmed with the intensity from that injury, the memory from the injury. So of course it's natural to bring that into your pre-competition feelings about it, right? So manifestation properly, remember what it is? Manifesting is preparing your mind, body, and spirit to do the work. It's aligning your mind, body, and spirit with what you want. It removes the obstacles that would normally stop you, which then prepares and motivates you to take the actions to succeed. So in the case of athletes who visualize themselves and see themselves doing all the steps over and over, they're removing the nerves. They're removing all the programming related to the injury. They are preparing their mind, body, and spirit to go in and frickin' dominate. And so are you, because that's step 2. You gotta see it. The third step is you're gonna feel in your body what it feels like to do the work. So let's go back to the research project at UCLA. Not only do I want you to close your eyes and picture yourself going back to the dorm room. Notice I'm closing my eyes. It's because manifesting is a habit for me. And when I manifest, I get in it, man. I close my eyes. I go into my mind. I am literally in my imagination there. And I not only can see myself doing the work, I can feel it. You can feel what it's like to walk into that dorm. You can feel what it's like to sit down. You can feel the heavy backpack hit the table. You can feel yourself crack open that book. You can feel yourself sitting at that desk and the desk light. And you can also even feel what it's like, can't you? As the sun starts to set and it gets darker outside and the light on your desk starts to get brighter and take things over, you can just put yourself right there. And the feeling is super important because, again, manifesting is mind, body, spirit. We got to get your nervous system involved. We've got to make you feel like you're at the scene. One of the reasons why feeling it is so important is because it magnifies the imagery in your mind. And when your mind rehearses something, here's what's cool about your brain. Your brain doesn't know the difference between you studying for that test or you doing the work to start that business or get healthy or put yourself back out there or heal your trauma or save the money to get that house that you want or whatever it is that you're visualizing. Your brain doesn't know the difference between you visualizing those things and you actually doing them. In your mind, it's the same. So it's almost like a training run for a marathon. You are building a muscle that helps you win when you take the actions. It's so cool. And so you not only want to feel what it's like to study for that test, put yourself at the scene. You also want to feel a sense of pride that you're doing the work. And the pride piece is really important because the pride piece acts almost like a booster. It amplifies the memory imprint. When you bring this, wow, there I am, I'm doing the work, I'm proud of myself, I'm staying in, I'm putting in the extra work. Somebody said no and I kept on going. I didn't stop when the first venture capital firm said they wouldn't invest. There I am investing again. When you feel this sense of pride in yourself, it supersizes the imprint and the rehearsing. And so it's a super important part of the feeling. Not only feel the steps, feel the pride that you're doing it. This is so important that I want to give you yet another example. Let's say that your bucket list, something on your bucket list is to run a marathon. For me, it was on my bucket list when I was a young mom to run the New York City Marathon. Now, what's interesting is I applied, I got a number, and when I won this number out of a lottery system with the New York City Marathon, I was a brand new mom. I was totally out of shape. I was not at all in any kind of a place to run the New York City Marathon. Now, here's the thing. I used visualization to help me lower my fear and my excuses. Because when I got the number, I did not have a lot of time. If I had been a person who was not visualizing, I probably would have said, I don't have enough time to train, I'm not ready, I can't do this, all the excuses would have come in. But instead, I used visualization. Now, how do you use visualization for, say, a marathon? You do not want to visualize crossing the finish line. That is how you visualize incorrectly. Luckily, I knew how to visualize at this moment in my life. You need to visualize yourself going from 0 to preparing to run that race. So what does that mean? That means you need to visualize, oh, there I am. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. Oh, I don't feel like getting up, but I'm getting up and I'm putting on my sneakers and it's dark out and I don't feel like going for a run, but there I am going out the door alone in the cold. Wow, I am going for, I'm pretty proud of myself because I'm training. Oh, here's another thing you could visualize. I'm on a training run, it's mile 7 and it starts to rain and I keep going. Wow, I'm wet and I'm still running. I'm proud of myself because I'm out there training. It's mile 11 and my earbuds just lost battery. I don't have any more music. I got 5 more miles to go. I'm out here for almost another hour. And I continue going. And I continue going. And I see myself completing that 16-mile training run. And I allow myself to not only feel what it feels like to push through that moment when those earbuds run out of battery, but I also feel proud of myself for pushing through. That's how you prepare yourself for the thing that you need to do, because it removes the obstacles that would stop you from pushing through at mile 11 when your earbuds run out, because you've already rehearsed the moment in your mind. And then finally, step 4, and this is where a lot of people, not naming names, but this one is like really important. You need to do the work, okay? You got to do the work. Because it's only through your actions that you will accomplish what you want. Let's say that you've always wanted to climb a particular mountain, okay? There's a mountain called Haystack. It's not even that tall, so I should probably pick a bigger one. But let's just call it Haystack Mountain. You've always wanted to climb Haystack Mountain. You pull up to Haystack Mountain, and you get out of the car, you park at the National Forest parking lot, and you make the mistake of looking up at the mountain, which is the end goal, right? And you notice it's up in the clouds. And then you start to think, oh my God, that's a really far way away. I don't really know how I feel about doing this anymore because that looks like it's going to take a really long time. And then all of a sudden it starts to rain. And you go, I don't think I want to do this because I don't think I feel like doing this. And next thing you know, you are back in the car, driving back down the road to that little diner that you saw. And instead of climbing the mountain that you've always dreamt of climbing, you've now come up with an excuse and you have abandoned ship. You now have literally become your own obstacle. You talked yourself out of it. You started to doubt yourself. You told yourself you weren't ready and that you didn't feel like it. You pull the ripcord, you're out of there. In order to have what you want in life, you must stop staring at the top of that mountain. You must stop creating excuses for why you can't or don't feel like it. And you must put your head down and look at the first step in front of you. And then you must take the action and start walking toward what you want. And it'll be a hell of a lot easier for you to do that if you have also been putting in the time every day consistently to not only see yourself walking up that trail step by step, but that you have felt yourself pushing through the resistance, the fear, the obstacles, the excuses that are stopping you now. And feel proud in every fiber of your being as you push through those obstacles and see yourself and feel yourself doing the work. That's how you manifest properly. And if you do that before you pull into the national park parking lot, if you look up at that mountain and you see clouds and it starts raining, it won't matter, because you've already rehearsed this moment in your mind, body, and spirit. And you, my friend, will start walking up that trail. And you're going to be proud. That's how you use manifesting to get what you want. That's how you leverage all the science and research to train and prepare your mind, body, and spirit to help you get what you want. And that's how you hack the motivation and inspiration that you need to take the actions that get you everything that you want and deserve in life. So the other day, I managed to get to a yoga class 30 minutes early. The reason why that happened was not because I was really organized. It was because my son actually had chorus practice at school, so he had to be at school earlier. So I got to the studio earlier, and class normally starts at 8:45, and I normally get there at 8:44, 8:45, 8:46, right in that zone. This day, a couple days ago, I arrived at like 8:14. And so I go down the stairs to the yoga studio, and I get up to the door, and it's locked. It's dark. There's no one there. The reason why nobody was there is they weren't even open yet. That's how early I was. Now, here's what happened that really struck me. The first thought that popped in my mind, here I was dressed in yoga gear. I got my yoga mat. I got my little journal because I'm going to be early and I can journal on my mat and be all yogi in the studio. The first thought that popped into my mind is, oh, you should just bail. Don't even go. Go across the street to Pete's and have a cup of coffee. Forget this yoga thing. I don't feel like it. I cannot believe how fast my own mind contaminated my thoughts. And I doubt you understand how often your mind is looking around and talking to you and spotting things that are negative and arguing against the things that you know you want to be doing. I mean, it was just a moment. Walk down the stairs, see that it's dark. I don't think, oh, great, I'm the first one here. That means I'll be the first one in the door. That means I can get the spot by the door in the back of the class that I really like. I didn't think, oh, I could sit here and I could journal right here and just wait. I didn't think, oh, I could make a phone call. I thought, I'll bail on this commitment I made to myself. I'll just bail on it. I'll just, screw it. So why am I telling you this? Because our minds are so negative. I don't care how positive you are, and I am an incredibly positive person. I don't care how much mindset work you do. You have to continue to do it over and over and over again. It's not that your mind jumps to the negative and constantly sees the problems and the obstacles in front of you. It's that you don't even realize how often it happens and how often it hijacks you and takes you off course. So it's essential that you're paying attention. It's essential that when your mind talks negative smack talk to you, that you smack it back and you say no thanks, or you insert something positive. And, I actually did not intend for this to be like some sort of video to push you to something, but that does remind me that I did an entire course called Mindset Reset. It's free, by the way. More than 400,000 people have taken it. It's 30 videos. If you want to check it out, you go to melrobbins.com/mindset reset, and we'll email you the workbook and you can watch all the videos for free. I'm not selling you anything. I'm a daytime talk show host, so I'm not selling you a course. But I'm telling you this because even the woman that created Mindset Reset, even the person that is training you on how you redirect your thoughts and do what I call think this and not that, my mind still jumps to the negative. My mind still argues against me, which is why one of the most important things that you need to do if you want to live a positive life, if you want a happy life, if you want your relationships to be stronger, if you want things to come more easily and naturally to you, you have to continually train your mind. So what did I do that morning? I basically was like, shut the up. And I sat down and I opened up my journal and I didn't listen to it. And sometimes that's the most powerful thing that you can do when your mind gets negative. You just tell it to shut up and you move on. Hey, it's Mel. Thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed that video, by God, please subscribe because I don't want you to miss a thing. Thank you so much for being here. We've got so much amazing stuff coming. Thank you so much for sending this stuff to your friends and your family. I love you. We create these videos for you. So make sure you subscribe. Mwah.